Okay, you guys, hello everybody. I'm actually on the clock right now. My job, as it turns out, have a little bit of a break before I pick some people up from a company that's actually celebrating their 75th anniversary. So they're there for a couple of hours, and I get to bring them back to King of Prussia in a short bit. But first, this is Crazy Tom, and I'm back for another edition of What Drives Me Crazy for this Tuesday, April the 9th. The day after the solar eclipse, and I believe we're still here. People were thinking yesterday was the rapture, but I'll tell you something. In my area, it looked like we were going to be able to see it a little bit. Unfortunately, clouds rolled in about 5 minutes before the due time happened and got out of there like 5 minutes before it was all over. So the Philly area, especially Villanova, where I was yesterday, we caught a horrible, horrible break. So it looks like we're going to have to wait till 2045 until something like this happens again, unless you're in North Dakota or Montana, where you're going to get the opportunity a year earlier. But hey, what are you going to do? But it wasn't a rapture. I mean, it was I don't know if I could say once in a lifetime event, depending on where you are, but hopefully everyone enjoyed it safely and that eye doctor appointments are not going catastrophically through the roof. Anyway, What Drives Me Crazy is presented by CrazyTomShirts.com. There's a shirt for everybody at CrazyTomShirts.com, and I'll be running another deal soon, but in the meantime, if you go to my website, you'll see a lot of positivity shirts, especially plus-size positivity, even a little bit of political stuff and some motivational material, so look it up. Got some comic to go with it as well. Visit CrazyTomShirts.com. There is indeed a shirt for everybody. And you can always ask me if you're looking for a particular shirt, and I can direct you to where you might want. I have over 300 different shirts for you to choose from. So definitely contact me. And also, feel free to subscribe to Crazy Tom here and tell your friends about this show. Not only is it just a show, but I've also included some musical tracks on the music channel. Of course, if you go to YouTube Music, Crazy Tom has a couple of tunes on there with more to come. And I'm working on a couple of new tunes as well that I'll have very soon. So with that in mind, I want to talk today about the state of baseball. Now, as you well know, I'm a proponent and being an extreme traditionalist as to how the game's supposed to be played. And for me, I have really felt that baseball has really tanked over the last couple of years. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And the board of directors complaining that games are too long, this, that, and the other, and fans are complaining about that. But listen, that's how the game is. But unfortunately now, thanks to a new rules instituted in 2023, now a pitch clock is put in. You only have 15 seconds between pitches. Now it's only 18 seconds with runners on base. It was 20 last year. And basically these are rules that were designed to shorten the games and have a better flow. To me, it feels like the game is now being completely rushed. First of all, there should not be a clock. And if you're going to put a clock up, I really believe they should ignore the clock the final 3 innings of the game. Because you want to have drama for baseball. You don't want things being rushed because of a clock. It's more like the networks don't care, the umpires don't care, and it's like you want a game in like mid to late September that could decide a playoff spot or a division, and now you're basically rushing it. Now, of course, way back in the past, we had Yankee Red Sox games that would average 3.5 to 4 hours. So what? It's the natural proponent of the game. But with the pitch clock, it has absolutely ruined how baseball is played. And to add another note to it, you can also add to something that happened last night, which I am not a fan of at all. And that is what we call intentional walk and balk. Now, this is how it is. Basically, if you're tied after 9 innings, we go to extra innings. Instead of playing a normal inning, now we play IWBK, which is intentional walk and balk. Meaning before a batter comes to the plate, there is basically the equivalent of a person being intentionally walked at first base and then being balked over to second base without a pitch being thrown. What happens is the person who made the last out of the 9th inning ends up being the designated runner on second base beginning in the 10th inning, and if that person scores, it ends up being an unearned run on the pitcher. So In essence, you have a runner in scoring position in extra innings, beginning with the 10th. And to me, that just kills the game. Because what this has done, first and foremost, it has taken away true drama and sometimes, in some cases, a true special moment that is literally happening in front of our eyes. We have not, since the pandemic, we have absolutely lost our minds when it comes to games. Because now we are being literally forced to maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 extra innings tops in games that could potentially matter later. If you played normal innings, you wouldn't have this. But yet, we are in the millennium of liability. And now we have so many players being paid 20, 30, maybe even 40 million a year. Look at Shohei Ohtani, unless he's gambled that money away already. I'm trying to point out to everybody that baseball is not about the fan. And as much as they put advertisements gloating saying fans are back, they're enjoying the game, it's shorter and this and it's moving and everything, it was never about the fan in the first place. And those of you who understood 30 years ago when Bud Selig closed the door on the 1994 season, canceling the last month and a half, the playoffs and the World Series, there was an agenda to that too. A big time agenda. They did not want any hint of an All-Canada World Series. Yeah, the Yankees were in first place at the time, but Toronto had won the previous 2 World Series. Montreal was running away with the National League East. But who in America is going to watch an All-Canada World Series? There's a simple answer. Nobody. That's why the game was shut down. I don't want to hear about the negotiations, anything else like that. That's cover-up material. They did not want an All-Canada World Series, even though probably Montreal would have won the World Series in '94, but that year, baseball stopped them. And it was one of the most evil things any major sport could do to a team or a fan base. And Montreal never, ever, ever got close again. They eventually moved to Washington in 2005. Of course, as the Nationals, they won the World Series in 2019. And because they were a small market team that won the World Series, that because all the people were losing money left and right. Look what happened in 2019. The Nationals won the World Series. The Toronto Raptors won the Stanley Cup. And I believe 2019 was also when the St. Louis Blues won the 2019 Toronto Raptors won the NBA Finals, and the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup. And the Super Bowl winner, of course, was New England, of course, in that Alfred Hitchcock ending. Or was that no, I'm sorry. That would have been Super Bowl 53, that dreadful New England LA Ram game, which ended 13-3. But the other 3 teams, they came out of nowhere to win Stanley Cups. A major team like Boston, the Bruins, they didn't win. A major team like Houston, the Astros, they didn't win. A team like the Golden State Warriors, they didn't win. We probably do not have a pandemic if 2 of those 3 teams win. But because those teams lost, the Toronto Raptors, the St. Louis Blues, and the Washington Nationals, they're all small market. They won the biggie. And how much money was lost because of it? And look what happened next year. We have a pandemic. That is absolutely one of the wildest things I probably have ever said, but if you think about it, it all comes down to money. Think about what's going on with the NASCAR races. We used to have in Long Pond, in Pocono, the Pocono 500 and the Pennsylvania 500. A few years ago, it got lowered to 400. Now, it's maybe a 312-mile race. That's it. Or 350. That's it. Everything's getting shorter. People are being paid tons to literally do their performing. And in the end, I'm sorry, we just had a cop go by. I wanted to make sure that that it wasn't me they were going after. I mean, I didn't do anything. I've had this bus parked for about an hour or so, but just had to watch very carefully, and thankfully I was not the center of attention there. But what I'm trying to say is very simple. Every major sport thrives on money and the major market. If a major market wins, then the executives are happy, the sponsors are happy, and the respective sport is happy. Nobody was happy in 2019, outside the NFL, which got the Patriots again. But it really didn't matter if you think about it. Because 2020 came, the pandemic happened, and it changed so much, especially in how we live, and it changed a lot when it comes to sports. It changed because now things are shorter again. It changed because now people are being paid more to do less. Look at NASCAR. This past weekend, they had a Martinsville race that's normally 500 laps. It's now 400. Why? Look at baseball. They keep raising the prices of tickets. And with speeding the game, with the ridiculous pitch clock, with all these stupid new rules, and intentional walk and balk, which I'll get to back in a second, you basically, these players are getting paid more to do less, and fans are paying more to spend less time at a racetrack or a ballpark or anything like that. Maybe with the exception of the NFL, which tends to go about 3.5 hours anyway. And the NBA is about 2.5 hours anyway, so it really doesn't affect them. But when I get back to baseball and talk about intentional walk and balk, basically now you shorten extra innings. No more can we have 17, 18, 19, 20 inning games, 22 inning games. With 50 years ago, we had a game that went 27 innings. Because of intentional walk and balk, we're not allowed to have it anymore. Is it because of the fans? No. It was originally the excuse that it's the pandemic. And guess what? They lied to you because they've kept it ever since. They have kept it ever since. That's not how you play the game. Now, traditional extra innings, that happens during the playoffs. They don't play intentional walk and balk during the playoffs. It's just regular extra innings. My son, who's trying to get into broadcasting and journalism in the fall at a local college, he did a game with his high school and another school, and normally in high school it's 7 innings for a baseball game. It went 13. Almost got a doubleheader. And they played all 13 innings normally. There was no intentional walk and balk in the 8th inning. It was regular baseball. That is how a game is supposed to be played. Not this baseball garbage. If you have 15, 16, 17 inning games once in a blue moon, so what? That's part of your contract. You're getting paid $30, $40 million a year. But no, we can't have it because of the millennium of liability. Is that ridiculous? And then baseball gloats in saying how fans are running back to the game. The fans never decided a damn thing. Not one. It's because it's about the board of directors. It's about the corporate sponsors. It's about the networks. It's about nobody else. It's not about you, the fan. Because they want programming. They want to get the most out of their buck at your expense. I mean, good Lord, you bring a family of 4 to the ballpark for $350, and the game ends up going 2.5 hours. If it goes 3, it's a normal game. And sometimes a game could go maybe 2 hours. So players in the lineup, $20, $30 million a year, aren't doing as much. And they have to walk and balk, and there's really not much of any drama. It's forced drama. The pitch clock is forced drama. You have to throw those things out, especially in the playoffs. You need to let the drama build. But with all these rules put in, it's a joke. It really is. The executives have ruined baseball. Football's different because that's more wrestling. Hockey, you could get a crazy bounce of a puck and all of a sudden you got an All-Canada Stanley Cup final. But that's not going to happen again this year. And the NBA, you know they pick and choose who they want to call a foul on. In college basketball, same thing. The Caitlin Clark effect allowed Iowa to get to a national championship game, but no one player can beat a dynamic South Carolina team. I mean, look at it. It's all about marketing in the end. Baseball lost tens of millions of dollars in 2008 when the Phillies won the World Series over Tampa Bay. They wanted the Dodgers and they wanted the Red Sox. They got neither, and the Phillies won in 5, and everybody lost money. How do you make it up? get the Yankees to sign the American League All-Star team, Teixeira, Sabathia, A-Rod, whomever it is, and voila, you win the World Series, you make the money back and then some. That's how it is. That is how sports is in the 2020 decade now. It is built to this point to make things go quicker because our attention spans have in some ways gone shorter. And to make matters worse, we just can't seem to appreciate the beauty of this game anymore. Basketball, it's supposed to be about sharing the ball and playing defense. Hockey, you're supposed to share the puck, and it's always a moving game. But they could do without the stupid shootout. Football, we know it's predetermined. We know it now more than ever because of the Taylor Swift effect last year. And now we know why Kansas City won back-to-back. The second one was handed to them. And the NFL did everything they could. They shut up Al Michaels because he talked the truth, saying the sideshow should not be the show. And he was right. The NFL punished him and did everything possible to make sure Kansas City got to the Super Bowl and won it, even if the Baltimore Ravens had to throw the game on their behalf. They did. You don't fumble the ball just shy of the goal line if you're trying to get into the Super Bowl. If you really wanted it, you would have taken it. But in threats of punishments and severe fines, that's why it happened. And you can probably tell this happens more than ever, and the referees are the ones who decide it. The networks decide. The players no longer decide games. And in baseball, with people being paid all this money and literally shortening everything up and prices being raised, you pay more now to go to a ballpark and you spend less time in it because of the new rules. Why couldn't Major League Baseball cut the prices 25% across the board? They didn't, because they don't care. It's always about money. In 94, when they canceled the last month and a half and canceled the World Series, the only thing that did was help one team, the New York Yankees. Why? Because they wanted to make sure they were relevant every single year and that they would never have to fail again. Look what happened last year. Everyone said the Yankees had a disastrous year. 82-80 is not a disastrous year. You still had a winning year, but it wasn't from your own merit. It was because baseball says it's required that the Yankees have a winning record. Then what does it do for the other 29 teams? No wonder nobody's on even keel when it comes to baseball. Why do you think San Diego gave up so much to the Yankees and got so little in return? Because it was a baseball-forced trade to bring Verdugo, to bring Grisham. I don't know if it's Verdugo. I'm talking Grisham. I'm talking Juan Soto and other people. And San Diego got Jack you-know-what back. It's how it works. Basically, the ones who are rich get richer, while those who have nothing, they give up even the littlest that they have. Almost sounds like a Bible verse, doesn't it? I know I bounced all over the place in this one. When it comes to baseball, the fans are getting screwed. So much. Basketball, they don't play it properly. They just have a regular game. Share the ball and play defense. Football, forget it. You get paid $20, $30 million a year and you want to win a Super Bowl? No, you get $20, $30 million to play the game, but you also have to listen to what the NFL wants from you and as a franchise. Think about this. If the Dallas Cowboys were America's team truly over the last 3 decades, why haven't they made an NFC championship game in the last 28 years? That doesn't make any sense at all. But Jerry Jones prevents them from getting there because they're told they can't. It's a very simple proposition. This is not conspiracy. This is thinking deeper into the game, into sports itself. Division II, Division III teams from college are a lot more fun to watch. High school is a lot more fun to watch, unless you're Manasquan, after they got ripped off this year in a state semifinal. The girls might have won, but the boys will have something that will be bitter with them for the rest of their lives, all because somebody interfered. It's about money. Money determines who wins. Money determines who plays. Money determines everything in the world of sports. And that should explain a lot. I know it was a crazy rant, but in the world of baseball, I know I started with baseball and my mind got to the other three sports and even NASCAR, but you gotta remember, money is the root of all evil. And with all the major sports wanting more and fans not spending as much time in their venues, whether it be a racetrack or a ballpark, money might be the root of all evil, but in the end, the fan gets ultimately ripped off. That's it for another edition of Crazy Times, What Drives Me Crazy. I had to go back and pick up the folks down the street, so definitely check me out on my social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter X, and Gab, at Crazy Tom Show. Also, remember that the show is presented by CrazyTomShirts.com. There's a shirt for everybody at CrazyTomShirts.com. Make sure you check him out and see what you like. And of course, tell your friends to help subscribe to the show. I got that and some more music to check out on the YouTube music channel, which I have, so make sure you look that up. All right, so I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and join me next time for another edition of Crazy Times, What Drives Me Crazy. So enjoy this beautiful Tuesday here in Birdsboro, Pennsylvania. And now it's time for me to fly away. I'll see you guys next time.